was the car going that left 70 feet of tire tread on the road from the time the brakes were applied to the moment of impact. We have 70 feet of tire tread. Now, the police have a little quadratic formula that goes something like this. Distance is equal to 5/100ths times the speed of the vehicle squared plus the speed of the vehicle. Now, if we can determine how long it took the vehicle to stop, we can determine or how fast that vehicle is. We have 70 feet of tire tread on the road. So that's 70 is equal to 5/100ths s squared plus s plus s. Now, we have to get this into the quadratic form that is acceptable for the quadratic formula, which means we have to get this 70 out of here. The whole thing has to be equal to 0 before the quadratic formula will work. So, let's go ahead and subtract 70 from both sides of this equation. And that's going to give me 0 is equal to 5/100ths times the speed squared plus the speed minus 70, or I'm going to write it as plus a negative 70. Because now I can pick off my A, my B, and my C very quickly because it's all written as addition. Alrighty, now the A is going to be equal to 5/100ths. The B is the number in front of the S term here, which is an understood 1. And the C is the constant term that is not beside any variable, and it is negative 70. Alright, we're trying to solve for S. We want to know the speed that this car was traveling, because then we can determine whether or not the vehicle was speeding and whether or not we're going to have trouble in court. Okay, well, let's see here. The quadratic formula is the following. In this case, it's going to be S is equal to. So, S is equal to the opposite of B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Alright, now let's do our direct substitutions. We know that B is 1. So the speed of the car is going to be equal to the opposite of B, or negative 1, plus or minus the square root of B squared, which would be 1 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 5/100ths, times C, which is negative 70, all over 2 times 5/100ths. Alright, once again, this is a horrible key sequence, so let's go ahead and just work it manually for a bit. The speed of the car is then going to be equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared is 1 minus 4 times 5/100ths times negative 70 is going to give us negative 14. And of course that will all be over 2 times 5/100ths, which would be 0.1 or 1/10. Alright, so let's see. 1 minus a negative 14 is the same thing as 1 plus a positive 14. So we're looking at 15 underneath the radical sign here. So the speed of the vehicle is going to be equal to negative 1 plus the square root of 15 over 1/10, or negative 1 minus the square root of 15 over 1/10. Now, in this particular instance, since we're looking for the speed of a vehicle, this answer right here is not going to make sense, because we're going to end up with a negative number divided by a positive number, and that will give us a negative answer, and we're not going to have a negative speed. So this answer will be out of the running. Now, at this point, this is a relatively easy key sequence as long as you remember, if you're typing it in one line, remember that the entire numerator is being divided by 1/10. So you'll either press equals after this addition, or you will have to put it in the whole numerator in parentheses. So the speed here is going to be approximately 28.7 miles per hour.